Here's Brody Brazil.
Well, it's been almost a month already, if you can believe it, since the A's came out and said they were ready to reveal renderings for a brand new Las Vegas ballpark. About 36 hours after that announcement, they changed their minds, and largely all of this reversal was tied into a terrible tragedy that occurred in Las Vegas with two state troopers losing their lives. And we're not here to go back on that much or question it, but now, obviously, a lot of time has passed, and the question is, when exactly will these renderings be revealed? Under what circumstances? What will the timing be like? And I'm here largely to pose a question. This is educated speculation, but might the A's be using the Super Bowl coming to Las Vegas as a launching pad for revealing whatever kind of renderings they have? And maybe the time between when they were going to come out in December and when they ultimately come out, maybe that was also time necessary to refine things, review them before actually releasing them for good. You don't really get a second chance to make that first impression. The next 4 weeks could be an easy landing spot for the first impression. Let me say, the Super Bowl's not till February, but the next 4 weeks largely up for grabs in Las Vegas, meaning that from January 1st to the 28th, there's not a lot of extracurriculars going on down there. Like, there's not F1, there's not bowl games. There is CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which brings in a ton of people. It's one of the annual big events at the convention center. But then there's a few other trade shows and things that are typical to Las Vegas. It's a relatively busy month annually in Southern Nevada, but there's nothing else that would really get in the A's way of making this announcement. So let's be clear. They can do this within the next 4 weeks and not have to step on anything Super Bowl related. They have from the 1st to the 28th of January. But I'll tell you this, on January 28th, the NFC and the AFC play their championship games. And following that day, we will know the two teams that are in Super Bowl 58. The Roman numerals, I'm sorry, they always throw me off. 58 in Las Vegas. That'll be on February 11th. And it's those 2 weeks between January 28th and February 11th that the NFL loves. Like, they're not playing any more games, and there's not much else going on besides media hype. And hasn't the Pro Bowl also already moved in between those time spans of the playoff week versus the Super Bowl week? Anyway, it's their time to try and make sure that nothing else really happens besides a sole focus on the Super Bowl. By the way, after February 11th and the Super Bowl, you really get right into baseball. Pitchers and catchers usually report between the 13th and the 15th. We don't know the exact date, but my point here is that you can do this before the Super Bowl. There's 2 weeks of Las Vegas-centric Super Bowl activities, like the town is going to be very busy focusing on football. And then after that, you get right into baseball season. So I just want to paint that picture of what the timeline looks like. But if the A's did tie this into the Super Bowl and tried to use it as a platform, and like I said before, a launching pad, this would be the A's in Major League Baseball. Don't forget, it's not just a team, it's the league making a major announcement with these renderings during the NFL's huge 2-week spectacle. Now, if you reverse the roles here, if this was football trying to make a big announcement during the World Series, you can forget about it. Baseball doesn't even like its own players or its own teams or its own personnel making their own news during even the playoffs, like the month or so of playoffs, let alone the 7 to 10 days of the World Series, like the big stage. So baseball would not be okay with this if the roles were reversed. But that being said, the NFL is a little bit different. They love the attention. Granted, they want it all on them for these 2 weeks. They want to kind of own the scene in Las Vegas. They've never done a Super Bowl here before. Like, is this imposing a little bit if you're the A's to kind of say, hey, Super Bowl, we want in on this. We want to make an announcement during your big week or 2 weeks. You know, I'm thinking as I do this, it's almost like getting engaged at somebody else's wedding. I mean, that happens. And this is kind of like that. But the NFL, like I said, is different. They focus on attention differently. They might like it. And the NFL might have some certain people in their ears saying, hey, this would be a good idea for us. Some people from the Las Vegas Super Bowl LVIII host committee. Do you recognize any familiar friends here? Jeremy Aguero of Applied Analysis. Steve Hill of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. These two were representing the A's. Some would say as lobbyists, some would say as activists, some would say as employees who knew how that really shook out, but they were representing the A's and trying to get public money from Clark County and from the state of Nevada. And they're also people on the Super Bowl host committee. They're on the executive council of this. Also, don't forget Jim Gibson of the Clark County Commission, District G. He's also part of this. They're also part of public funding for the ballpark in Las Vegas. $120 million, I think they're on the hook for. But the bottom line here is that these are familiar friends. So if the wheels of the A's and doing this announcement during the Super Bowl, if they need greasing, there's some people to do it. But if the A's do this during the Super Bowl, and by the way, we haven't even talked about like during the 2 weeks or actually during the game. If they do this, is it really going to make it a bigger hit? Is this actually going to have the desired effect of the A's to make this a bigger deal so that, I don't know, it goes better or more people are in on it? The public is already aware of the A's in Las Vegas. They have been for weeks and months, and in a lot of cases, years, that it's a possibility that public money happened and that baseball approved it. I think most people already assume it's a done deal. Like it's actually already underway, and it's not. But this is not like a surprise to the public that baseball's coming. This is just, here's renderings, and maybe some more details too. But the bigger question is, do you make the announcement during the 2-week span between the championship games and the Super Bowl, or do you actually make it during the Super Bowl? For example, the halftime show. It's Usher, right? Usher could come out and say, it's 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top with renderings. Do you get that? That was an Usher song back in the day. No, but seriously, like what? I did not plan to do that. What if this was all part of an actual Super Bowl Sunday release by the A's? Does that make it a big deal? Does that capture the nation's attention? Is that like a free billboard, free advertising, free global sentiment that, oh, that's also pretty cool? Maybe. But I will say, when you start messing around on that level of the Super Bowl and people who are not even sports fans and couldn't give a rip about the two teams playing and they just want to watch the commercials and have snacks and they want to watch the halftime show and they're, doing their Super Bowl squares, it's dangerous that you would do this and everybody would be like, oh, wasn't that a great Super Bowl and the commercials? And wait, the A's did their renderings? Did you hear about that? It's easy to get overshadowed. And this is not a rip on baseball or the A's or anything else. That's why nobody else does anything on Super Bowl Sunday. Like anything. If you have anything, and hockey plays on Super Bowl Sunday, which they have to, but they'd rather not. Like they've got to keep their season schedule moving and teams around. But my point is, anybody who can avoid it does avoid it. Super Bowl Sunday. So why would you be the ones to, go in on Super Bowl Sunday? But I suppose these are just renderings. And if they were going to come out on a random Thursday or Monday or Friday or whatever, and if there's either going to be a public ceremony or some type of presentation, who knows how they'll actually be delivered. They had a plan for a Monday on the campus of UNLV with a secret UNLV student guest and the architect and the governor of Nevada. But who knows how it plays out here? Maybe it just can't hurt. Maybe just try it. What's the difference? Nothing to lose? Maybe nothing to gain, maybe a lot to gain. I suppose we'll find out. But all of this, by the way, educated speculation. I'm realizing the situation, what the A's have and haven't done, what's coming up on the schedule, the people involved, the mindset behind this. Like, if this is actually a real thing on February 11th, you're welcome. If it wasn't, at least we can all sit here and say, well, we had an intelligent conversation about something that was not totally unlikely. You made it here at the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll greatly help me out. Check out some more videos while you're here. That wouldn't be bad either. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.